Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming a very exciting video. We are doing the new makeup releases tag created by my friend Angelica here on YouTube. I'm going to leave Angie's video from this year in my description box. She did it in collaboration with Samantha March, another creator I love on the platform. And today's video I am doing in collaboration with my dear friend Amy Loves Makeup here on YouTube. You guys know I'm such a fan of Amy as a human being, as a creator. She has such a unique perspective on makeup because she has a very light skin tone. Plus, she's a huge fan of indie makeup. So if you have not seen Amy's channel, I don't know how it's possible because I feel like she is so wonderful and wholesome and I just love her so much. So definitely go check her out if you haven't already. Let her know I sent you. And Amy, thank you so much for doing this video in collaboration with me. She has Indie Miss going on her channel right now. I'm guessing she's going to be posting till the 25th. So if you guys haven't caught up, highly recommend doing so. And without further blabbering, let's get into the video. If you guys are new to my channel, if you're coming over from Amy's channel, I just want to say welcome. My name is Karen Harris. I like to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on YouTube. When I first started watching YouTube, I had such a tough time finding reviews and swatches on somebody with my skin tone, so I had to do a lot of guessing. And I finally decided to take matters into my own hands and start up my own YouTube channel. And here we are, like 10 plus years later on YouTube. We're just thriving. At least I would like to think we are. Anyway, I post quite often, so I would highly recommend subscribing to my channel, ringing that bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, which is every day for the month of December up until Christmas, because I am doing Makeup Savage Miss, which is my version of Indie Miss, if you guys are wondering. This tag has some amazing questions, so without further blabbering, let's get into it. Okay, so the first question is, what mainstream makeup release lived up to the hype? I've picked out two products for this particular category, and I love eyeshadow palettes, so a lot of my answers are eyeshadow palette related. I hope you guys don't mind. But the first thing I picked for mainstream release that lived up to the hype was the Pat McGrath Divine Rose 2 palette. So I feel like everybody lost their mind when this one was sneak peeked because there is a beautiful multi-chrome in this particular palette, and I feel like this was the first time a luxury brand did a multi-chrome. Now, if you are familiar with indie makeup, there's so many brands that have done multi-chromes this year, from Cleona to Divina to JD Glow. Like, there's an endless list of multi-chromes, but I feel like this brand, Pat McGrath, was the first brand to do mainstream multi-chromes, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. There's only one shade in the palette, but I paid the same price tag for non-multi-chromes in palettes, so I was just really excited. I was so bored with her Divine Rose 1. I do own that palette, but that one was really a little too basic for me. But when she sneak peeked this, I was so freaking excited, and oh my gosh, I was on the website right when it launched. I picked it up in this beautiful limited edition packaging. No regrets. Definitely one of my favorite launches of 2020. I would have been so bummed if I missed this. So I'm so glad I picked this up, and it's a beautiful palette. If you guys are still thinking about picking this up, I would highly recommend. So the next palettes I chose for the most hyped launches of 2020 are the BH Cosmetics Sweet Shops palettes. So I have an interesting story about BH Cosmetics myself. I had bought a ton of their stuff in 2019, and I'd kind of decided to take a break in 2020 because I feel like the quality was there, but they were launching so many things and I was trying to keep up with them. And what ended up happening to me, by the time my package actually got to me, I had moved on to something else. So in 2020, I had decided I'm going to take a little break from BH, and then they launched the Sweet Shops, and they were on the website. Not that many people were talking about them, and I think Angie bought some of them first, and then Britt Clark had picked some up too, and they were both kind of telling me like, oh, this is really nice, the green palette's really nice, the blue palette's really nice. So I was like, let me just get some. So I bought the green and the blue and the pink initially, and then Angie was loving Cherry on Top, so I did pick that one up as well. These palettes, oh my gosh, it's like all of a sudden they came out of nowhere and they sold out. Like the pistachio one was sold out for months and they just restocked. I think these are pretty much all still in stock except the pink one. This one, cotton candy, was sold out the last time I checked, which I was kind of shocked by, and I'm low-key contemplating getting the orange and the neutral one, but I feel like I got the best ones, like the ones I wanted, I have. I'm like low-key on the BH website the other day and I'm like, do I need a backup eyeshadow palette? And I was like, Karen, get your shit together. You don't need another backup of an eyeshadow palette that you already own, but these are so good. Like the pigmentation in these palettes is unreal. I have featured these palettes in so many of my ranking videos throughout the year. I've also done a look with the green and the blue, I think. I still owe you guys looks with the red and the pink. I'll probably do that in 2021 because 2020, the time is flying and I don't have time to do a full video. But this blue palette I've used in multiple different videos, and the green one. Love these so much. If you're still thinking about should you get them, I would highly recommend at least getting one just to try it out, and then you can always pick up the other ones. But man, oh man, I feel like these came out of nowhere and they just rocked everyone's world. I know that a lot of people really like the breakfast collection or the brunch collection that BH did, but I feel like I'm definitely biased towards the sweet shops. I really, really like the pigmentation and the color stories in these palettes. Okay, the next question is, what indie makeup launch lived up to the hype this year? And for this particular answer, I picked these. These are the Melt X Beetlejuice eyeshadow palettes. And let me tell you, when Morte and Vita launched last year, it was like the Hunger Games. 2 a.m. Central Time, which was like midnight Pacific Time. And I remember literally me, Angie, and Amy set our alarms. We woke up in the middle of the night. I didn't get the secret code to be let into the pre-sale and I was having a freaking meltdown at 2 a.m. Luckily, my friends intervened and I got the 2 palettes and I went back to bed. Okay, so when they started talking about Melt's holiday collection, I was like, what could they possibly launch that is going to blow away Morte and Vita? And I was like, they're not going to be able to do it because those 2 palettes are so beautiful. The color stories, just the thought that went into those palettes, I was like, there's no way Melt is going to top that. So when they launched these, of course, I was on the website. I grabbed them. I was excited, but I don't think I was as bought into this hype as I was with Morte and Vita. And I will say that I'm not mad at all. I think they nailed it. The pigmentation is great. The packaging is so fun and different. So I really appreciate the level of detail they put into these. And the fun thing for me with these palettes is that I buy so many eyeshadow palettes. I love color. I love neutrals. So when a brand makes something and I'm like a little bit scared, I feel like that's almost a good thing because I don't ever want to be comfortable with makeup to the point where I can look at a palette and I'm like, whatever, you know, nothing excites me. This color story freaked me out. And then when I got it and it was so easy to work with, I was so happy because I was so nervous about playing with these grays and these silvers, and the quality is so good and the palettes are so beautiful. I'm honestly so impressed. I feel like this is the most hyped indie launch for me because I didn't think they could live up to the hype of last year's launch. And I feel like they definitely did. I also love the other parts of the collection. I didn't pick up any of it, but the liners, the lipsticks, the liquid lipsticks, they all looked so beautiful. The brushes, like there was so much cohesion in that collection that I have to say that that was definitely the most hyped in my mind, and it definitely lived up to the hype indie-wise. And then the other makeup item or brand that really lived up to the hype was Fenty Beauty. I know a lot of my friends have mentioned, and honestly, these lipsticks have such a special place in my heart because as a person of color, it's so hard to find nudes and brown shades that are tan girl friendly, that are medium, tan, deep skin tone friendly. I feel like it's really hard to nail those undertones. So when Propa kind of came on the scene, I really wanted to buy the whole collection, but I think it was like $75 or so, and I really couldn't afford to part with that amount of money. And so I kind of lived through my friends talking about their stuff, and I got 3 shades and I tried them out. I really enjoyed them. The owner of Propa ended up reaching out to me and I got an affiliate code with them. So that was wonderful. And then they also sent me the rest of the shades that I didn't have. So I have a full lip swatch video of the Propa lipsticks. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend checking them out. They are so affordable, and then usually there's always a sale. So you can stack my code with whatever sale they have going on and save yourself a good chunk of money. And these are so wonderful. I just love all the undertones. I couldn't thank Propa Beauty enough because I swear I have the hardest time finding lipsticks that are my skin tone friendly. And I'm sure people with darker skin tones and tan skin tones feel the exact same way as I do. So I just feel like Propa Beauty really bought something new and unique to the market. And it makes me so happy to be affiliated with them. So thank you guys that have used my code for Propa Beauty. Thank you for supporting such a wonderful indie brand. I just think they're so fantastic. And I cannot wait to see what they come out with in 2021. Okay, so which products did not live up to the hype? Oh my gosh. I feel like nobody's going to be surprised when I mention the Juicy Boost. Oh my gosh, you guys, I am such a Colored Rain stan. I was so excited when they announced that they were launching a colorful eyeshadow palette. And I love the packaging. I love the concept. Love everything about this brand. So I was so excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, a colorful pigmented eyeshadow palette. This is what my dreams are made of. And then I got the palette and I tried it out. Not impressed at all with this palette. So this was definitely a release that did not live up to the hype. You will get a fun little video on Christmas Day. I did give this palette a little redemption, gave it a little chance, so you'll have to see how that eye look turned out. Definitely make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that video because I did use this on my channel one more time. Still feel like it did not live up to the hype though, so that is why I'm including it in this video. And the next palettes I'm going to include in this category are the ones made by Mitchell. I was so excited for this new brand to launch. I feel like Mitchell seems like a nice guy. Like, I don't know him, but he seems great, very talented. I love following him on Instagram. I like the palettes. What I don't like is the customer service experience. And more than me, my friend Angie, like, I don't even know if she still has these palettes. And we both ordered on the day of launch. It took forever. I think my order almost took a month to get to me, and Angie was expecting hers to come probably a lot sooner because she actually lives in Europe and I live in the US. So we were both very surprised at how all of that was handled. I think these are really nice products, but I would definitely caution you guys, if you're ordering from the brand, please be prepared to wait. I don't know if there's any updates, if things have changed, but the last time I checked, the customer service is not that great. So that's really not the best experience for when people are trying a brand. So just so you guys know, I mean, I don't think Made by Mitchell is ever going to see this video, but I feel like for a first launch, they could have done a better job preparing for the shipping and things like that. Okay, the next question is, what is the biggest curveball of the year? And I've seen some good ones. So first one I don't have yet is the Adept Cosmetics Plain Jane eyeshadow palette. This one was so unexpected. I really like Adept eyeshadows, but I wasn't like overly moved to purchase the eyeshadow palette. And then I saw some people talking about it and I saw like the hype kind of getting built up, but then I totally missed the ordering. So I ended up seeing that they had a pre-order available. The pre-order didn't ship till like January, February. So I was like, you know what? I don't need it. It's fine. So Black Friday, I'm sitting in bed, living my best life, talking to my friends on Marco Polo, and then I watched Miss Heather Austin's video on the Plain Jane palette, and she did eye swatches, and those eye swatches literally had me shook to my core. So of course, like any good beauty YouTuber, I went on the Adept website and placed my pre-order. I cannot wait for that palette to get to me. Heather did such a good job with the eye swatches. She totally made me buy that palette. And I feel like that was such a curveball because I was not planning on picking up that palette, and then I saw it swatched on her eyeballs and I was like, listen, give me all the sparkly things. I want all the shiny things. So I'm very excited for that palette because it's definitely definitely built up in my head that it's gonna be sparkly, beautiful goodness. The next curveball is a new product category that I never thought I would end up using for myself, but I ended up on Lethal Cosmetics PR list and I got their cream gel liners. And I was like, oh, these are nice, but I don't ever really use gel liners on my lids because I just don't. They're very high maintenance. I feel like it's easier for me to use a pen. So anyway, I had these. I kept them in the basket. I was like, cool, like I'll use them, whatever, whenever. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really use them that much, but then they launched a collection very recently called the Velvet Dusk collection, and they came out with 4 new shades. So they sent me all 4, and I was like, cool, you know, I've heard people say that they like to use these in the waterline. So I was like, let me just try it, and it worked so well in my waterline that this basket now has a very permanent home on my filming desk. I have not even been reaching for my pencil liners because I love putting these in the waterline. These are waterproof and like transfer proof, so they're so perfect for really hanging on through a work day, because you guys know I usually love to wear my makeup through like a full work day. So I've been wearing those liners non-stop. They send me so many beautiful colors. They all work with all of the different eyeshadow looks I do, plus they have a black and a white. So I feel like the luckiest girl in the world, because I went from never using a gel liner to basically using one every time I do my makeup because those are fabulous. So I feel like that definitely classifies itself as a curveball product. And then I have one more curveball product I want to highlight. If you guys know 2018, 2019 Karen, I was a liquid lipstick bitch, okay? I always wear liquid lipsticks because they stay put, they don't transfer, this, that, and the other. You would hardly ever catch me using a gloss, but in 2020, I discovered Tower 28 because so many of my YouTube friends were talking about this brand, and I was like, ooh, let me try some of their lip glosses. So I think I bought this one called Fire and then their clear shade called Chill, and I was hooked. I was hooked, so I bought the other shades they had, and I was obsessed. I'm still obsessed. I've completely used up one of these glosses. I keep them on my desk at work. I reapply them constantly throughout the day. They're so comfortable and hydrating for me. Personally, this is like my ultimate gloss formula. They're not sticky and just so comfortable. They don't dry out my lips or anything like that. So I love these. And then to make 2020 even better, they sent me the Milky Lip Jellies in PR. So I was so excited to receive those in PR. But listen, I went from not being interested in lip gloss at all to owning like 10 of these, which is kind of ridiculous, but I love them so much. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that this was definitely a curveball for me because I genuinely don't like lip gloss. Okay, so the next question is, what was the biggest letdown and what was the biggest snooze fest of 2020? So for me, biggest letdown would be probably the Melt Millennial Pinx palette. I just hated everything about that palette. Again, I was really attracted to it because of the color story. It was one of those color stories that was very unpredictable for me. It was one that I looked at and I was like, wow, I really don't know what to do with that. And sometimes when I see a palette like that, I like to pick it up because it challenges me to think outside of my box. And so I bought it and oh my god, I just hated that formula. It was so dusty. Every time I tried to like apply it, blend it, it just sheared out and I was left with basically nothing on my lids. So I ended up sending that one back because I really hated that palette. If you guys know me, this year I have hardly returned anything, but I was so disappointed in that palette. I would easily say that that was the biggest letdown for me in 2020. And then for the biggest snooze fest, I kind of want to talk about the Natasha Denona Trio Chrome. Now, I really like this palette, but the thing is, it's kind of like the same as the Melt 2019 Holiday Collection. I feel like Natasha Denona nailed Holiday 2019 because she launched the Metropolis palette. She also did the Mini Gold palette for her Holiday collection, and I was just like, I feel like Natasha Denona was another brand where I was like, oh my gosh, what's she gonna do for 2020? How is she gonna top 2019? The Metropolis palette is so gorgeous. A year later, people are still lusting after that palette. So I just was hoping to see something that was gonna knock my socks off. And I do feel like this palette does kind of bring it. But the thing is, I love the multi-chromes in this palette. But as far as the mattes go, I'm not 100% sure that these are tan girl friendly. Like, I like some of the mattes, but there's definitely a lot of pastels, a little bit lacking on the deepening up shades. And I feel like for the price point, it would have been nice if she did smaller pans and maybe provided us with more colors. Even if they weren't all multi-chromes, I would have loved to have more mattes, more deep tone mattes, just so somebody with my skin tone or a darker skin tone could get maybe a little bit more use out of this palette. I would have also loved to have seen some of her cream to matte formulas in this palette because I think those ones are so fabulous and they blend so nicely. So even though I love this palette, I feel like this is a little bit of a snooze fest. So while I think the Melt 2020 holiday collection lived up to the hype and really kept my flame for Melt burning in my heart, I feel like Natasha Denona's flame kind of simmered down a little bit with this launch, where it should have been one that really ignited more passion for Natasha Denona for me. So therefore, this is a snooze fest for 2020. Okay, the next question. What is the best launch of holiday 2020? There's so many good ones. The Wahala palette by Juvia's Place, the BH Cosmetics Naughty palette, the Huda Beauty Naughty palette was amazing. The Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse. So many palettes, so little time. I am living for eyeshadow palettes. You guys know I love them so much. But I would say for me, just the all-around MVP for best holiday launch. I don't know if you guys are ready for this. I have to give it to Pat McGrath. Oh my goodness. So I think this palette is so crazy because it has 12 shades that already exist in her line. She repeated 12 shades from 2 limited edition palettes. 2 palettes that I myself own and never reached for. So when I heard that she had so many repeats in this palette, I was like, come on, Pat McGrath, like, have you lost it? Like, why would you recycle shades? And there were so many, like, conspiracies going around. People were saying, like, she made too many of the Star Wars palettes, so that's why she's, like, repackaging them and throwing them into holiday. And there were so many conspiracy theories and all of that. And I swatched the 2 Star Wars palettes, and I was like, I still haven't decided if I'm going to get this. Well, come launch day, I totally sucker myself into picking this up, and I love this. I think this is such a great way to try Pat McGrath if you don't want to buy the expensive $129 palettes. I do still think this palette is pricey. I think this is almost $80, but you can catch it on a sale. Sephora, Pat McGrath, they usually always have a good sale, so you can take advantage of that. But these metallic shadows, oh my god, do they live up to the Pat McGrath hype. And I love that she included this shade and these 2 greens. Like, I need a mothership palette, a green themed mothership palette. Like, that's all I want. Give me a green palette, please, Pat McGrath. Please, I'm begging you. I know she did Rose to the high heavens this past year in 2020. Like, I feel like all her palettes were rose themed, but I feel like Pat McGrath could do a green eyeshadow palette and kill it. Like some grungy greens, some emerald greens. Like, I just want greens from Pat McGrath. So fingers crossed, 2021, I'm hoping for a Pat McGrath green eyeshadow palette. Not gonna lie, really hoping that happens. Okay guys, the next question is, what was the best collab of 2020? Oh my gosh, there was so many. There was BK x Britt Clark. There was ColourPop x Raw Beauty Christie. Shroud Cosmetics x Butte Bean. We had so many collaborations. Fumi x Juvia's Place. Honestly, I feel like there wasn't a bad collaboration out there this year. All I hope for is more collaborations next year. But I will say the palette that I enjoyed the most that was a collaboration was the Carnival 3 palette. This is the Love Tahiti Stacey Marie x Be Perfect. Now, a lot of my European beauty YouTubers love the Be Perfect Carnival 2 palette. And so I had purchased that because my friend Paulina raves about that palette. And just hearing her talk about it made me want to get this one. And also, Miss Heather Austin, who I really got to know this year, is a huge fan of Be Perfect. So in our group chat, when we first started talking, she had said like, oh my gosh, I love Be Perfect. They're going to come out with a new palette. And I was like, oh, cool. Like I have the second one. I haven't really tried it that much. So I really was indifferent to them coming out with a new palette. But the closer we got to this collaboration launching, everyone in our group chat got really invested in Be Perfect. And because of that enthusiasm, I now have one of my favorite palettes of this year. This palette is so fantastic. The colorful mattes are so wonderful. I just love the shades, honestly. I can do so many beautiful eye looks with this palette. I love the greens. I love the neutrals. I love the purples. So good. One of my favorite launches of 2020. I've already talked about this palette so many times in my ranking videos. I did a 5 best palettes of 2020 as a collaboration earlier on in Vlogmas that I mentioned this palette in. It's such a good palette. Like if you are wanting just like a one-stop shop, humongous palette, highly recommend. They also launched some beautiful lip glosses, some beautiful highlighters with this palette. I didn't end up picking those up, but man, oh man, I am so on the Be Perfect train now after having such a good experience with this palette. So if you guys are still considering picking this palette up, I would highly recommend. It is so good, and yeah, so many great collaborations. If I missed any, I do apologize. I just love collaborations and I wish I could try them all. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so the last question is predictions for 2021. I'm really bad at predicting things. I feel like Angie is like the queen of predicting stuff. I don't know. My predictions are more green eyeshadow palettes. I feel like we're not done with green yet. I feel like more brands are gonna do more green eyeshadow, especially mainstream. I feel like 2020 green definitely entered the mainstream market, but I still feel like there's a few brands that have more green palettes stored under their sleeve, and I'm here for it. I love me a good green eyeshadow palette. So really hoping Pat McGrath and more luxury brands get into the green eyeshadow train. I definitely foresee more collaborations, which like I said, I'm not mad about. Definitely seeing more smaller YouTubers collabing with indie brands and so on and so forth. Probably like more multi-chromes. I'm not really predicting anything because again, I feel like I'm the worst at predicting stuff, but man, oh man, I am so excited to see what these makeup brands have in store for us for 2021. I wonder if we'll go back to liquid lipsticks because I feel like gloss was so big this year. I feel like the trends always cycle out. So whatever was in a few years ago will always kind of come back. So I'm very excited to see what happens in 2021. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it wasn't too long or too boring. I had so much fun talking about some of my favorite new releases of 2020. You guys definitely need to go ahead and check out Amy's channel and check out her video, as well as Angie's. I'll leave it down below. Please go ahead and do this video and tag me, tag Angie, because I'm sure she'll be so excited to see more of us doing this video. Thank you guys so much for sitting here with me and hanging out while we talk about new makeup, and I will see you in my next video tomorrow. Bye, guys!